Hey folks, Jonathan here. Back to working on the wrecker, or the rollback I guess. Trying to get the headache bar finished up on it. And I'll show you a couple things on it in a minute. But one thing I want to show you, I swapped cameras again. I'm back to my new camera. My old camera, I don't know if you can see this or not, but you can see this hole melted through it. And the front of it's melted pretty bad. And that's not from the smelter. This was from a fire from before. And anyway, so you know, it does better inside, but there's actually some problems with the lens, and I've broke it here, and I've been rough on it, but it works good. You know, I know that there's a couple spots on the lens, and it shows up on the videos, and there's just nothing I can do about it. They're actually burned spots into the glass of the lens. So anyway, got our new one out. It does better outside, but I want to start off, I want to show you my dump valves. The problem I was having with this system, this air ride system, is it actually had a dump on it. And the problem was it's got a two-cylinder, well, let me rephrase that. It's got two separate pumps. It's like a dual pump system, and 12 volt. And so it, you know, it's pretty quick about filling it up. It's not as good as a, you know, a gas compressor or the compressor on the engine, but I mean, it does all right, I guess. But here was the problem. When you dump the valves, and it did have a switch inside to dump the valves, you had to turn the compressor off and then hit the dump switch. When it dumped, it would take 30 minutes. I mean, it was just crazy how long it took to dump the valves, or the bags. And one of the problems was it was draining the entire tank. It wasn't just draining the airbags. It was taking all the air out of the entire system. And, you know, I can't have that. And that meant that when it come time to fill them back up, it'd take a little while to fill them. Now, why do I need a dump? I'll explain that to you. When you're loading a car, especially a low rider, you know, something that, they're really bad when they've got a lot of front end in front of the wheels. You know, like some of the bigger cars, the Mercury Marquis, Crown Vics, Impalas, stuff like that. Camaros are terrible. Anything that's sticking out a long ways in front of the wheels or behind the wheels, you know, give you trouble loading. And the lower you can get the front of your bed, the less loading angle you have. So I want to be able to dump the air, and then when I get ready to leave, flip it and raise it back up. So here's the solution to the problem. And let me get one of these out here so you can see it a little better out of the plastic. Now, all these are 12 volt solenoid operated valves, and this one is different than these two. And what I've done is, this is a normally open valve, so the air can flow through it all the time until you put power on it, and it closes it. So what I'm going to do is hook this after the tank, and before it gets to the airbags, and actually before it gets to the adjusters for the airbags. The adjusters are right here, and that's you know, it's sort of a leveling system, and there's one on each side. Now on the International, there's a single one in the center, so you don't have to split in half. You know, I could get by with one dump valve because it would dump both bags. With this system, I can't tie the two sides together, so I want to be able to dump both bags with separate solenoids. So what this first one does is, this will come after the tank and before the valves, or before the leveling valves. And when I flip the switch, I'll have all three of these wired together on the same relay. But or maybe three relays and one power running to each relay. But I mean, what I'm saying is one switch is going to operate all three of these. When I flip the switch, it will close this, and that'll stop any air from coming out of the tank. And the same time as it stops this one, these are normally closed, so they're closed all the time until you put power on them. When I flip this one and it closes, these will open, and them two, one will mount directly on top, the airbag on this side, and the other one will mount on the other side, and that should dump these bags really quick. And of course, as you can see, they're dumped now because I've got the system unhooked. I just didn't like the way it was set up and the way it was made to dump. And you know, with this small line, you know, you couldn't dump fast anyway. So we're going to go directly off these these fittings on top, and that will get us dumping quick. And I'll have to come up with a muffler, is what it's called. This will be fine because there'll be lines on both sides. This, you know, it's got a directional, so we'll run it in, and then we'll have a muffler on this side, or we can bring these together and tee them and run one muffler on it. You know, it don't matter. We just, what we want to do, the muffler is really not to quieten it down. The muffler is to keep anything out of it. You know, you don't want a mud dauber building a nest in it. You don't want dirt and grime to get in it. These are, you know, good weatherproof units. There's not much to them, and you know, all it is there's a magnetic switch inside. It just, when you put power to it, it moves, and then, you know, it's either opening or closing the gate inside. You know, you can get these in any voltage, all the way from 12 volt all the way up through to 240 volt, and you can get AC or DC. So you can use them on gas, you can use them on air. I think liquids, you know, they're pretty good on everything. You just wouldn't want to go with too much pressure on, you know, on a valve like this. You would want to go to a hydraulic valve if you're doing hydraulics, but which, you know, you don't want to deadhead a system anyway, so this ain't really a hydraulic style setup. But anyway, we're going to get these on. We're going to get the headache bar finished up. I cut the piece out. I've got it up in place. Got to weld it on. What I done, I needed 37 inches, and to the outside of them mounts and brackets that was already on there for the light bar was 39. So I just cut them off and carved back under them, and that way that'll tie the two together also, and it'll work out really good. So I'll get it all welded in, and once we get it welded in, we've got to get the bar here running from one side to the other. And then once I get that in, I'll be able to pull it off and lay it in the shop floor and go ahead and get everything welded really good. And we'll get it back on. And you can see I got, well, I'm not gonna say my wife did most of it, got the bed, a lot of it cleaned up, because I didn't want to stop working on the other stuff to clean it. And she come out and gave me a hand. So anyway, the valves I'm gonna do later. I'm gonna go ahead and get back on this light bar. Had to do the brake pads again on the top kick, the red one I've been using. It eats up brake pads on the front, and I'm gonna, next time I'm changing both calipers, both rotors got some wear on them, and the calipers, they must be sticking sometimes or something. I know I had one on the front left stick the other day, and then it just quit sticking, so I just don't want to take a chance. The right one seemed like, when I went to change the brakes, that it was a little bit tight, so I'm just going to order new calipers, new lines, and new rotors, and put another new set of brake pads on it, and maybe that'll solve any problem I have. All right, I'm going to go to welding, and I'll show you more. All right, there you go, folks. We made it back with this thing. What a mess. There's the rear end out of it. That was about I don't know, 40 feet out in the woods. Snapped the axle, ripped it out, broke the shocks. I guess that's the quick way to get one out. Anyway, too hot out there for one man to be flipping a rear end out of the woods 40 feet in through a 4-foot ditch. Yeah, one of the problems here is this thing's an 03, so chances are I probably won't get paid for it. I'll be stuck with it. But that's the way that goes. All right, back to work. Okay, folks, I know I said I was going to get back on that headache bar, but I got back from that wreck and it's hot up there and it's a little cooler down here beside the truck out of the sun, so I started putting my my valve on. This is the valve that goes in line from here to the tank, or here to the leveling valves. I'm sorry, from the tank to the leveling valves. Now this is the old line that came in and pressurized, and this was the actually pressured off this end of it, and this was the dump valve, and it dumped through this hose. So what we're going to do, I'll take this out and cap it off. I'm going to change out this fitting. It's full of mud daubers. This is just a quick connect for air hose, but it leaks a little bit too. We're going to cap this off temporarily until I can get a 90 to go in here. I'm going to put a 90 in, run air in here. Instead of using this for a dump valve, I'm going to run this to my air horns. I've got a set of air horns I want to put on, and I'll just rewire the power going to this to a horn button, and that'll be our air horn switch. And it's not going to be, you know, crazy loud because it's a small valve, but that'll make them work anyway. And we've got to get it, the line run around the back side, the air line, to get to the bags. So we're going to keep on that and see what I can get done here. Well, folks, you ever had one of them days? I've been looking for one of these for a while. It's one of them connectors for your trailer that goes between a tractor and a trailer, and you know, it's pretty springy. You pull out on it, it springs back pretty hard. But I was looking through one of my junk piles trying to find some fittings, and I seen that and I said, well, I better get it. So I was pulling on it, and I had it stretched out good and tight and trying to pull it out from under something, and it came out and it hit me square on the end of my nose, and I got blood coming everywhere. But I swung back on it 2 or 3 times, and hell, it was already back down in the hole before I could get to it. So I've been in some fights, but I tell you what, that thing, I ain't messing with it no more. Okay, I don't have my dump valve hooked up, but I do have this valve. This is the one that's going to keep the air from coming out of the tank. So we're going to do a little test on it. Now, I've got a little air leak right here, I know of, but I've already got air in the tank, so I'm not going to change that out yet. But anyway, what I'm going to do, we'll hook power up to it. On this, you know, you can use positive and negative on either post of this. Now this is only the green wire if you use an AC, and I just stuck a quick couple of wires on there. We'll just plug it in temporary, and I'll show you my nice jumper cables here. Now I've got a couple other sets of these, but these are a $50 set of jumper cables from they're 20 footers. They're really nice cables, but as you can see, they're in rough shape. The other day when we started that Land Rover up, got everything cleaned up, and I guess I forgot that we hooked these up, and I think actually Jordan hooked them up, but it's my fault because I mean I know about it. But I drug these for 9 miles and I can't believe that it didn't do any worse than it done. There's a couple in the negative war up here, but I'm hoping I can still use them for testing here. Ground them down a little bit, but I can't believe they stayed on there for 9 miles. They got good clamps on them though. But just more of my adventures here. All right, so we're gonna hook this up. We're going to, first off, I know we're getting air because we got our airbags up. And there goes the compressor. I'm gonna let that go ahead and build up. It's leaking from that, but anyway, we'll let that build up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook power up, and I'm going to unhook this line, and it should bleed the bags down. And then I'm going to take and hook the line back up after the bags are down, and then we will unhook the power from it. I want to see how fast this thing raises back up, if it's going to be really slow or not. It's 3/16 line, I believe. It's a it says 1/4 inch. I guess it's 1/4 inch line. I thought it was 3/16, but anyway, we'll let this thing build up and kick off, and I'll hook it up. Okay, you can definitely hear it kick in, the valve, so we've got it wired up. Now we're going to do this line now. It's going to leak out of the line, but it should drop the bags. Might take 2 hands here. Yeah, now I see why it took so long to dump the bags. There's barely any air coming out. It's just nice and slow. So, but I do hear it going down. So I'm going to cut the camera off for a few minutes here and let it go on down. And like I said, we'll let it all out, and then I'm going to hook it back up. And then when I unhook the power, it should raise the bags back up. And then that's what I'm interested in, is seeing how long it's going to take to raise the bags back up. Okay, they're down finally. Get tired of waiting. I ended up pulling the line off. It's coming down so slow, but I've got my line hooked back up here. All we've got to do is unhook this one of these leads, and let's see what happens. I hear it feeling. Oh, look at there. Yeah, it's coming up quick. Oh yeah. There it is. It's going to work just fine. So we'll get our dump valves on. We've got to get all these lines tied up where they need to be. I'll get the switches hooked up and the fittings for the other dumps, or for the actual dump valves. Yeah, this, I think it'll work really good that way. It comes up quick. Just got to make sure and keep the air in the compressor. So I've just got to change this fitting out. So anyway, I'm going to end this one here. We'll get back on it tomorrow. Been a busy day, towing wise. So I appreciate everybody watching, and until next time. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing. I almost forgot to tell you. Mark Lindsay has got the a video up on the Wilton Vice that I'd give for the giveaway, and he's going to go ahead and clean it up and restore it, but he does have one video up. I'm going to put a link in the description to that video, and you know, it don't cost anything to subscribe to somebody, so you know, if you want to, go subscribe to him, and then you'll get to see the other videos of him restoring it. And anyway, I sure appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.